Okay, so this could be a typical site that you actually get as part of your river fly monitoring. So this could be your site, and this is going to be your water. So the first thing that we do is assess the site for dangers. So we've seen that there's no sort of holes or barbed wire fences for us to trip over. So we've made them sort of simple assessments really, just for the safety side. So the first job is to obviously climb in and put a bit of water in the bucket. The other simple reason for that stops the bucket from blowing away. Nice and easy. So the main sampling technique is quite simply, first job, get the net with the water just downstream of where you stood. The beauty about these nets is you can really lean on it, so it's like a wading stick, so you know, so you can help support your body weight as well. We can kick just this area here, and you can see that I'm disturbing the bottom, and any creatures that's actually been dislodged is going to get swept into that net. You can then move the net. This looks a good place. And once again, start disturbing the bottom. Much slower here, so my foot's much closer to the net mouth. Now the timing for this is critical, because we're doing a full 3-minute kick. And the only time that clock is ticking is while the net is in the water and you are disturbing the sediment or the substrate of the river. Whenever you move, whenever you stop to look at a bird that's flying past, the clock stops. That's why you've got your pal there on the bank, which is a safety man, but also to make sure the timing's right. Again, that's all about the consistency. So all the time I've been doing this and talking to you, the clock has not been ticking at all. So we can start the clock ticking again now. Slowly but surely, I'm moving across the site in a nice systematic way. Now the other thing that's worth bearing in mind while you're doing this is that depending on the speed of the flow will depend on how far your net is away from you. If the water's particularly fast, you can move the net a little bit further away so you don't get as much gravel and stuff in the net when you actually disturb the bottom. When the water's less fast, you can actually do the opposite, get it a little bit closer to you and actually kick in a more localised area, all with the aim of collecting the inverts and not the gravel basically. So as we've done these different areas, periodically we can take the catch back to our bucket, and again while we're doing this the clock stops. We can then empty the contents of the net out, just give it a nice shake, but make sure, have a good look on the mesh. Caseless caddies in particular love hanging onto the mesh. Once you've done that, we can carry on with the sampling. The clock starts now, and we're sampling again. We just keep moving across, and eventually we will have covered the entire site in our full 3 minutes, and that's when the clock actually stops. So we then decant the last little bit of stuff we caught back into his bucket. Once again, checking the mesh carefully. Now we haven't finished, because now what we do is we pick up some rocks. Okay, so we're going to pick a stone up and wash the contents of that stone into the mouth of the net. Now it's really important this, especially in these urban rivers, that you can see the rock clearly that you're going to pick up, and you're not plunging your hands into dirty water where you can't see where they're going. There could be a broken glass down there, there could be anything down there. So just obviously take care. So you can pick the rock up, literally wash it in the mouth of the net, so any little pieces that's on it will actually come off. And then check it, you must check it carefully, just in case there's something hung on that didn't want to come off. And if there is, you can pick it off, that goes in the net as well. And then for me, put the stone back where you found it. there's a couple of ways of doing this. We can actually just pick up maybe half a dozen rocks and actually just wash off what's on them rocks, or if you like you can do that as a timed method really. It's entirely up to you, as long as you do the same thing every time you come back. So now we've done the 6 rocks. We can take the contents of the net back again and put what we've caught from them rocks back into the bucket and everything else, and obviously once again check the mesh. Okay, that's your 3-minute kick sample complete. Now probably one of the most important things of all is to actually wash that sample, so it makes it much easier to actually count and assess what we've caught. So if we look in the bucket, you can see that this is absolutely filthy, so we need to clean it out. Simple things to start with, anything that's obviously floating like bits of grass and leaves and stuff like that, obviously check that there's nothing sat on them and then just pop them back into the river. And now what we're going to do, we're now going to physically wash this sample. The first thing we do to do that is to stir it up. Give it a good stir. Get everything in suspension, nice and moving around like a washing machine, and we can then decant that through as net. Nice and slowly. So as much of the creatures as possible are now in the net. I'm actually going to leave the net just in the water, but not obviously so things can get out, because what I need to do now, you can see there is still lots and lots of rubbish and probably lots and lots of invertebrates actually still in that bucket. So I'm going to fill that bucket with water again, give it another stir, and back through the mesh. And back through. You might have to do this several times, but don't be in a hurry. Just spend maybe another minute or another half a minute or so just looking in the bottom of the bucket where the gravel and the rocks are, just in case there's a nice big case caddisfly larva sat waiting that's not been washed into suspension. So that's pretty good, there's nothing left in there at all. So then we can get shut of that gravel, what's left, and those rocks and stones and other things that we don't need, to actually analyse. Give your bucket a nice rinse while you're at it. All we have to do now is pop the contents back into the nice bucket of clean water. Once again, checking again for any caseless caddis that are hanging onto the mesh. That's pretty clear. So what I want to show you now is how clean this sample is compared with what it was maybe a couple of minutes ago. So it is much easier to analyse what's in this when we actually decant it into a tray. The most important thing is when you're actually coming back to redo a site is that you do it in exactly the same way. So the way that you've split your time up, you repeat that to keep the results consistent. So it's all about consistency, so we get good, credible results.